frustrated. Please don't cancel me.
It's Pokemon presentation time!
Alright!
I know that the Pokemon presentation took place forever ago and that I'm not breaking any ground talking about it now, but here's the thing. After watching the whole presentation, I realized that I had a lot on my chest, and if I don't let loose talking about it now, I'll feel even worse for next time. Clearly, I wasn't even planning on making this video. I was working on two separate videos, neither of which are Pokemon related, and that's because other games have been giving me more joy than Pokemon, and this is not a Pokemon exclusive channel. I mention this time and time again. When I was younger, I absolutely loved Pokemon. I loved the series so much that I accidentally drew people back who eventually stopped playing the games. Yeah, that happened more times than you think. That was maybe around the time of X and Y. Nowadays, people I know will see me on the Stern deck playing Age of Calamity on my Switch, and they're understandably confused. And I tell them what I've been telling others for years now. I used to love Pokemon, but thanks to Game Freak, nowadays it's just a nice pastime if I have nothing better to do that day. Here's a better analogy, right? If I have $60 and a new Pokemon game has been released, I'll consider it after hearing some word of mouth. If I have $60 and a new Musou game has been released, I'll buy it for sure, because Dynasty Warriors is for sure worth $60 to me. That's the difference. Anyways, I bring all that up because the Pokemon Company was pushing themselves hard online to the point where I, someone who doesn't even follow their main channel or social media anymore, was seeing their ads everywhere. I get that February is Pokemon month, but my lord TPC, what possible reason could you have to hype up your next Pokemon Direct to such extreme new levels? My honest expectations for this Direct were shockingly high, and justifiably so. I grilled Pokemon to the moon over their Faithful Diamond and Faithful Pearl announcements, and I was not about to sit down and watch them ruin my favorite Pokemon generation of all time, especially when you consider the overall end result of those Gen 4 remakes. Sorry, did I say remakes? I meant Gen 4 rehashes.
These are faithful remakes.
I still vividly remember my conversation with multiple friends about what to expect within the Direct weeks before. How did it go again? Hello, and welcome to our Pokemon Direct. Today, I'll be revealing some new info for all of our popular Pokemon games. That's right, new info on both Pokemon Unite and Pokemon Go. I hope all of you are as excited as I am to reveal this to you. What's that? The mainline games on the Switch? Actually, we have no plans for those games at this time. After all, the Pokemon Company is more about accepting the realities of modern life than acknowledging any actual feedback from players. Everyone knows that kids these days and people who grew up playing Pokemon are more focused on so many free games that you can play on your phone now. So we have decided to focus more on the mobile games that everyone is still playing, because it's not like there's any good games on the Switch, now is there?
I hate this!
Now everyone, I am aware that some people are still very much invested in Pokemon Scarlet, Violet, Brilliant Diamond, and Shining Pearl. We are happy to share that starting tomorrow, for all of our important fans still playing Scarlet and Violet, we will be distributing a shiny Ogerpon holding a Cherish Ball via mystery gift. To those of you outside Japan, we will be distributing a Pikachu with Volt Tackle holding an Everstone, available soon at your local Target. And now for the big announcement. As you can clearly tell, I wasn't watching the Direct to get excited over new Pokemon games. I was watching it to take the piss, and things didn't exactly help when I learned that the Direct was only gonna be 13 minutes. Seriously, I know that miracles can happen, but how can Pokemon possibly attempt to repair their damaged reputation in 13 minutes? The answer is, they can't. And I was here only to watch the fireworks backfire. I wasn't gonna be devastated by any more of their failures. Fool me twice, shame on me. From here on out, I'm just going to talk about what the Direct actually showed, as well as my thoughts on the matter. I'm mostly going to be a jaded prick and roast most of what I see, but hey, miracles can happen, I guess. Good lord, am I glad they binned the Five Nights at Freddy's Pikachu animatronic that they tried to pass off as cute from their last Direct. You couldn't pay me to want to place one of those on my shelf. I guarantee you that I would be sleeping in the middle of the night and be startled awake hearing that Pika! Only for me to jolt up and realize that the damn thing moved to the foot of my bed.
Was that the bite of 87?
Stay it!
But if we were able to get an animatronic of other Pokemon... Game Freak, this single Pikachu and Unknown animation puts the entirety of Scarlet and Violet to shame. You literally have enough money. How about putting some of that into hiring more staff so they can make the next game render more like this animation?
Our adventures with Pokemon, which started with the simple fun of collecting, trading, and battling in the Pokemon Red and Pokemon Green games, have expanded to fit into so many facets of daily life, including walking and sleeping.
We know! Nothing against the games themselves, mind you, but it's almost as if putting Pokemon into these facets as hard as you did permanently warped your company's perception of what is actually popular, and deciding to change the entire corporate structure to focus on ill-fated projects while ignoring the games that made you successful in the first place might have been a bad idea. Ending with you soiling the new games from the popular series with poor decisions and tarnishing the goodwill that longtime fans gifted to you, leaving you in the situation you're currently in. Wow, all that came out of me? God, I've sunk to a new low. And we're not even a full minute in.
To commemorate Pokémon Day, we've planned a series of Terra Raid battle events where you'll be able to face off against a mighty Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard.
Are you fucking yanking my chain right now? There are over 1,000 Pokemon and you chose to gift us with the 3 Pokemon we've been receiving over and over and over and over again? I literally made a joke to my friends that we would be getting Kanto Pokemon as gifts for Pokemon Day, but I didn't think you would all upstage me by this much. I'm gonna fucking die.
We hope you will all enjoy these raids.
Wait a minute. Making its return? That's the same Charizard event as the one we already got?
Oh my god.
I get that Charizard was the first mightiest marked Pokemon released, but dear God, you couldn't have made any changes to it to make it more special? How about giving it a bonkers move it wouldn't normally learn to go with that Terra type? Like, oh, I don't know, fucking Draco Meteor?
Today, I'd also like to share the latest updates on a number of our other games.
Was that seriously it regarding Scarlet and Violet's... Alright.
A collaboration event with Pokemon Go is on its way. Pikachu wearing Cap's hat is making its debut. It even knows an attack new to Pokemon Go, Volt Tackle.
Is this real life? Okay, jokes aside, if you're gonna make an event based on the Pokemon anime, that's probably the best way to do it, okay? Liko and Roy showing up in photos is very cute, and I'm happy we finally get to see the Charcadet line, but I do have some comments. I can't speak on anyone else around the world, but here in the Great Lakes, we're still seeing plenty of Sprigatito and Fuecoco around. And based on the way they worded it in the Direct, it kinda worries me that we were gonna see even more of those two to where finding anything else is gonna be a problem. And I'm gonna be honest, if there was anyone from Horizons I would have liked to see photobomb my Pokemon, I would have chosen the streamer wearing the goofy Nidorina suit and her Quaxley. Okay, I'm happy that it's getting more Pokemon, but I'm sorry, I don't care about Pokemon sleep. Although, the clip of the guy waking up to find Raikou just napping next to his bed was wholesome as all hell. You know what? Can we just get more beautiful clips of people IRL just living their lives with Pokemon in unique situations? Like Detective Pikachu, but more? Oh, for the love of fuck off! Get bent! No, okay, that was harsh. Let me explain. I don't hate this game for sticking around as long as it has, but its very existence throws a wrench into everything I've ever wanted in a Pokemon game. The ability to battle famous NPCs. You would not believe how many people just rolled their eyes at me when I explained that I wanted a Frontier-esque battle facility where I could battle strong trainers like Brock again and be able to go all out using my strongest team of favorites. Actually, that game already exists and it's called Pokémon Masters. That's not the same. Don't give me that crap. I want to battle Brock with my own Pokemon, not with Misty's Pokemon. There's a difference. I dream of a Master level Pokemon World Tournament. Instead, I get a true Pokemon fan telling me to waste $50 for a chance to be able to use a Pokemon that somebody else owns. I play Pokemon so I can be a Pokemon trainer with my own Pokemon I trained myself in a JRPG that I can enjoy. And Pokemon Master Sex is telling me, no, you can only face off against famous trainers while playing as other famous trainers. And if you want to be your own character, here's a Pikachu. Also, I don't play gacha games, so there's that. Huh, this is still a thing? Whatever. I don't play this myself, but the designs for this game are S tier, so if it means that we get more cute sprite art of Pokemon wearing cute hats, then this game can exist forever. What do I care? Again, I don't spend money on games like this. I would just like to point out for the record that this is the 5th Pokemon mobile game that this presentation is getting into, and I can't help but notice a pattern. The pattern is that stupid quote I joked about earlier. You have all of these free gacha mobile games, some of which can also be played on the Switch, granted. Meanwhile, the Switch core games that put Pokemon on the map in the first place fucking crash when you evolve a Bramblin into a Bramblegast.
It's true, but he shouldn't say it.
You know what kind of games I normally want to hear about when I'm watching a Pokemon Showcase video? Not mobile casinos disguised as kids games. And don't even get me started on Unite. Chinese knockoff to League of Legends splattered with a Pokemon coat of paint? How about no? Now we're actually seeing some new Pokemon stuff, and I can definitely see the appeal with this whole TCG collector game. However, this is now the 6th Pokemon game on mobile that can possibly take away resources from the core Pokemon series development, and it doesn't take a moron to see where this is going. You apparently get 2 packs a day, but both are obviously rigged because of course it's gonna be, and as a result, the 2 daily packs are gonna give you gunk. Always. Want to get more packs after the fact? Pay up, bitch! But, of course, that's just me being a jaded jerk. I'm sure this game has potential, and I'm sure that if my friends give it a good word of mouth, I'll consider it. But for now, I think I'm just gonna stick with my actual physical Pokemon card book. There's something about actually collecting the cards that a phone game could just not replicate completely. Alright, so most of the presentation focused around TCG Pocket, which, yeah, that's fair, and it looks like that app will also have more heart and effort put into it than the core games, which is what everyone most certainly definitely wanted. Yep. Does this mean the Direct is over now, and we can go back to playing the Apollo Justice trilogy? Okay, I can't keep up the act. A new Pokemon game for the Switch was revealed at the end of the presentation, which we all knew was coming, and this final trailer is the sole reason why I and many others were watching this slog in the first place. Okay, the trailer starts and oh, for the love of...
Get on with it!
Oh, this might take a bit to unpack. First of all, let's talk about what we didn't receive. A blatant bastardized remake of a beloved pair of games developed by a small indie team that has no business being placed in charge of such massive projects. Say what you will about these games' reception and reputation back in the day, Black and White are fucking iconic, and after the mess we received that was Faithful Diamond and Faithful Pearl, what originally was hype from a giddy fanbase in anticipation over potential Gen 5 remakes became washed over with pure dread. Oh no. The Gen 3 remakes were polarizing at best, and the Gen 4 remakes were actually awful. Does that mean? And just like that, in the blink of an eye, the population of people who wanted to see Gen 5 remakes began to hemorrhage and was reduced to a nervous crowd. And then Scarlet and Violet came out. Thankfully, they didn't pull that, but could you imagine if Game Freak outsourced such a project to Ilka again? I don't even hate Ilka, but whoever thought it was a good idea to get the smaller, less experienced devs handle what was absolutely the most hyped game since 2015 should be fired. Oh, wait, no firing took place. Instead, he was promoted to Chief Creative Fellow, which can mean bloody anything. Fucking great.
Where the fuck were we?
Oh, right. Legends ZA. Let's take this slow. I wasn't expecting a Legends game to drop, and I'm sure a lot of the Pokemon community would agree with me there. Like I said, I was convinced that we were going to be getting stale Black and White remasters that would retcon Black and White 2 as not canon. Game Freak must have stopped huffing paint long enough to realize that would have been a terrible idea in hindsight. Well, that, or it was never on the table to begin with, which, if you ask me, is a good thing. Of course, I wouldn't mind Pokemon releasing all 4 Gen 5 games on the Switch, but I'm getting sidetracked again. When you consider the position that the Pokemon Company is in right now, you can start to understand why the presentation was provided to us in this way. I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt and guess that the reason why the Direct was only less than 15 minutes is because they wanted to get right to the point with their 2 big reveals. I mean, yeah, real rocket science I'm spewing here, but think about it for a second. Palworld absolutely humiliated Scarlet and Violet in just under a few months, and with their success, they managed to cripple Pokemon's already stagnant reputation and pull away at least a significant group away from Pokemon and towards their own game, which is the last thing Pokemon wanted to have happen. Pokemon Day was approaching, and the company knew their usual "who cares, it'll sell anyway" mentality wouldn't work this time around. Not with Palworld lurking nearby. The company had one chance, one opportunity on Pokemon Day to try to win back their increasingly disgruntled fanbase. In such a fragile state of affairs, if Pokemon had revealed a game with the same kind of aura as their previous entries, it would have been over for them. So they streamlined the Direct. Go, Cafe, Unite, boom, 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 let's get all that out of the way. Here is the newest thing for mobile, the calm before the storm, the casual game before we reveal the big one. Okay, so we all knew the Direct was 13 minutes long, and we're at the 10-minute mark now. We know this is it. Only one slot left to talk about one more game. Only one last chance to pull the fan base back in. With that in mind, I want you all to consider, just for one moment, an alternate scenario. What if, at this moment in the presentation, instead of what we actually got, Game Freak took their last chance at drawing in customers and revealed literally anything else? A Black and White remaster? A Let's Go game in Hoenn or Johto? More paid DLC for Scarlet and Violet? How do you think that would have gone down, knowing that this was the last game showcased in the presentation? After weeks of hyping up the crowd on social media, after having been mocked relentlessly for releasing such PS2-style games intended as a modern release, would you really be satisfied with this presentation? And Pokemon seemingly agreed. This was, in my opinion, the best possible decision Pokemon could have made to get out of their crumbling position. And now I'll spend the rest of this video talking about this trailer because, surprising no one, I have quite a few things to talk about. First of all, I made it no secret that I enjoyed Legends Arceus more than any other Pokemon game on the Switch so far. I mean, look at what's on screen right now. But I'm not going to pretend that this game was anything more than what it was. A tech demo. A trial for Game Freak to test the waters to see what they could hope to achieve for future titles. And man, what an amazing experience this game was nonetheless. I gave Legends Arceus one massive raised eyebrow from the day the trailer was released to the day it came out, and that eyebrow was not lowered until I had the game in my hands and ready to go. I stopped buying mainline Pokemon games unless several friends gave it the green light, but seeing as how Pokemon was putting in the effort this time to try something radically new, I felt okay enough to give them this chance. And you know what? I'm planning on doing the same for Legends ZA. I'm not letting my guard down for one salty second though until we know for sure what this game is and how much effort is being put into it. Because, spoiler alert, I'm not all that impressed with the reveal trailer we were shown. The trailer itself is fine, great even, as it possibly gave the audience the exact impression it was going for. Seeing Lumio City being formed as its culture slowly began to weave in using that Tron-style lighting, ending with that huge overlaying shot of the Lumiose Tower overlooking the entire city, good stuff! On paper. But I have, just one problem with this reveal trailer. It didn't show us any gameplay footage! I get that this was simply the reveal for the game, and showing any real gameplay probably wasn't on Game Freak's mind anyway, but the drawback to that decision is that we ultimately have no idea what kind of game this truly is. It says Legends in the title! That means it's gonna play exactly like Legends Arceus did! Yeah? Who says? Seriously, I know I've been acting like a negative Nancy this entire time, but I have to ask. Why are we so certain that Legends ZA will play just like Legends Arceus? Don't you all think we're jumping to conclusions just a little too fast? Legends Arceus showed us gameplay from the jump. It was a core-style Pokemon game, and it was the elements outside of the battle gameplay that were going to stray from the norm. The end result was a Monster Hunter style of gameplay loop that made us, okay, me, want to keep playing. Go out, explore, catch Pokemon, report to Laventon, go back out, explore, catch more Pokemon. It was such a simple plan, but it worked. And you would think, right, that I would be extremely hyped that they revealed another Legends game, but pump the brakes for a second. The last time I felt extreme hype for a Pokemon game reveal, that game ended up becoming ass. So let's slow this hype train down and consider what we were actually shown in this trailer. Fuck all. Like I said, there's nothing inherently wrong with the trailer itself, but it has nothing to go on in terms of how this game is going to play out. So let's all take a look at what we actually know about this game before we jump to any conclusions. Urban Redevelopment Plan. Well, I don't know about you guys, but from my cynical perspective, that just screams SimCity to me. And I don't play games made by Electronic Arts, so unfortunately this isn't exactly a good start to me. So as we're weaving through the city, we see quite a few Pokemon chilling and enjoying themselves. And when the camera pulls back to the side of the bridge, we see what looks to be a Pokemon trainer throwing a ball at a Dragonair with a Hawlucha by her side. Okay, two things. First, while I was for a moment there genuinely worried that this wasn't gonna be a core-style JRPG, despite the name, I think I can breathe just a bit easier knowing the odds for being a Pokemon core game did indeed go up with this part right here. You all laugh now, but I've been trained by Game Freak to act this way. Second, and more importantly, I might just be wrong on this. After all, it has been around a decade since I played X and Y, but was any Pokemon from the Dratini line even available to catch in Kalos, yet alone Lumiose? Hang on, let me bust out Bulbapedia for a moment. Okay, you can catch Dratini, apparently right here. That's quite the distance from Lumiose, but we can now prove that at the very least, any Pokemon from Kalos can potentially appear in this game. Oh my god! There's another one! He does exist! As the camera continues to move backward, we can see more and more Pokemon move in and out of the frame. So far, they're all Pokemon we already know to be in Kalos, so nothing new to report there. The viewpoint shifts all the way to show us a bird's eye of Lumiose, and I have to point out that what I'm currently looking at is a lot of minute details that I wasn't expecting to see. We already know that this game is going to be taking place within Lumiose for the entire game, more on that in a second, so looking at this now as I make this video, my inner child wants to say that everything we're seeing in this image, the entire map, is gonna be explorable, which would be a first for a Pokemon game. Exploring and catching Pokemon in a giant metropolis like Paris? Yeah, that does sound awesome. But my 28-year-old battered and jaded mind is telling me, fuck no, is this game gonna have any of this be explorable. That would require effort, talent, and imagination, something that Game Freak doesn't want to exert. They'd rather make Little Town Hero, which they are more than welcome to do, mind you, but if they're gonna shirk the popular Pokemon games in favor of games like Little Town Hero, then let someone else make the next Pokemon games. And if any of you try to point out Ilka in this instance, then congratulations! The point flew right over your heads, and If this top-down perspective of Lumiose is the whole map, then consider me impressed. That would certainly shake up the Pokemon formula, especially if the city is being built as the game progresses. Can't wait to see how Game Freak screws this up. Speaking of, the trailer ends with the title of the file being revealed as Lumiose. Duh. Showing that Lumiose is indeed going through some kind of rebuilding process, like I mentioned before. Not to imply that the city was trashed before, just that it's being updated and or remodeled from the ground up, which let's talk about next, seeing as how the trailer is over by this point.
I'll get back to that.
Lumio's city urban development plan is sending a lot of different signals to my brain. Assuming that this game will actually exceed my astronomical expectations of not being just a bait and switch using the Legends moniker to sell goodwill before going neener, let's drop the cynicism for a moment and look at this trailer the way Pokemon wants us to, like a good consumer should.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products.
This trailer starts off with a file plan and some simple layout sketches before suddenly transporting us to the world of Tron. That aesthetic change is noteworthy, because this trailer doesn't jump back to the parchment sketches. The remainder of this trailer remains in this 3D schematic, which might have been just a fun way to display it, but I think this choice is hinting at something. Recall the trailer for Legends Arceus. It was all shown within scrolls, images and footage painted to us with ink brushes, just like during the Meiji era of Japan. Meanwhile, for this game, it's like, with this kind of meme and God damn it. With this kind of theme in mind, I kinda wish that this game would pull a shocking twist for us. The setting for Legends Arceus took place during the 1800s Meiji period, but I think Pokemon ZA should take place in the modern day, not the past. Again, that's just me being really hopeful and optimistic. Do I actually believe this? Not really. Here's what I think will actually happen. Game most likely takes place between 1852 and 1870 to mirror when Paris was being rebuilt and expanded, so says Wikipedia. Which ironically enough was more or less around the same time as the Meiji period of Japan. So while Hisui was being established, Lumiose was entering a new era of restoration. That had to have been intentional, and if this is what Game Freak had in mind, I'm down for it. Even if I personally think a modern day restoration of Lumiose would be better, but hey, that's just an opinion. Like I pointed out before, throughout the trailer we see plenty of interesting landscapes such as a busy street, a bridge next to a stream with a path down leading to a patch next to the water, and of course Lumiose Tower itself. They're all pretty detailed, something we have never seen before in a Pokemon game save for the bare minimum used for Misagoza. This trailer leads me to believe that we might actually be able to explore every single nook and cranny as Lumiose is being built. If this is true, and if the real size of Lumiose is truthfully reflected by the top-down perspective, then this city might just actually be bigger than the entirety of Galar, and that's the funniest thing ever, and it would give me another excuse to beat up Sword and Shield. If it's true. If it is, then the question I have next would have to be, are we going to be given just as much freedom as we had in Legends Arceus? It's true that we had to return to Jubilife to go to a new biome, but other than that, what exactly were we restricted from doing that we couldn't already do in other games? We can catch a Pokemon without having to battle them. We can throw our own Pokemon out at any time. We can build our own items. We can explore the land at our own pace without a little plasma gremlin yanking us around by the collar. Legends ZA has a lot of shoes to fill, and should these new games continue the tradition of taking away beloved features for no reason and replacing them with absolutely nothing, well, I wouldn't be shocked, but I'm sure there'd be outrage nonetheless. Just watch. Should the gameplay for ZA be identical or very similar to Arceus, and on top of that, give us an entire massive city to run around in, I actually do think that we would have a masterpiece unlike any other on our hands. But until we see some goddamn gameplay, I'm gonna continue to be a cock, and Game Freak can prove to us that they deserve our money, just like all the other gaming companies out there. And that's really all I have to say about the trailer. It's definitely selling a good time. All we can do now is watch as it gets placed in the back burner and rushed out so Pokemon can focus on more valuable titles like Unite. Oh. Damn. This is the best part about this whole butt trailer. Do not release this game in January of 2025. Take as much time as possible to make this game good. It's for the best. Alright, I guess that's it for me. Have a good night. Oh, for the love of... Several years ago, I made a video discussing my favorite Pokemon with Winter Dusk, and during that video, I made a point to give a long and dedicated rant about how Mega Evolution was treated by Game Freak. Unfortunately, I sped up that part of the video as a joke, and as a result, most people who saw the video couldn't actually understand what I was saying. The games may give off the impression that any dope with a rock can Mega Evolve a Pokemon whenever they want, but X and Y go out of their way to make sure that the player gets it into their head that only trainers who have developed a true and tight bond with their Pokemon can even consider the possibility of Mega Evolving. Yeah, in hindsight, the joke wasn't that funny. I know that now. Now that the topic of Mega Evolution is becoming relevant again, I'll take this opportunity to plagiarize myself and repeat what I said before, because screw the way that Mega Evolution was treated. Shit, it's not in the video script. Oh my god, did I really belt out that entire rant off the cuff? Alright, I guess I'll just start from scratch. Don't worry, my opinions haven't changed since 2019. I am actually infuriated that Mega Evolution is coming back, not because I hate Mega Evolution, but because I know that Game Freak is just gonna take it away again after they release the next game after Legend ZA, which will once again cripple any Pokemon who actually will receive one, or any Pokemon who is reliant on one like how Mawile is. The fact that it's inevitably going to be sacked again absolutely kills any hype I may have for the grand return of Megas. It's the same reason why I just ended up ignoring terrestrialization. Why should I care about ever using it if I know eventually that I'm not going to be allowed to use it for any future games? Oh man, Dynamaxing is this big thing and it's all the hype. Piss off. If I can't take advantage of it during official matches outside of Galar, I'm better off just not bothering with it. Especially if I wanted to use it for any official battle facilities like the Battle Tower. Oh wait! Regarding core RPG Pokemon games, all Mega Evolutions have been binned since the release of Sword and Shield, and even when they were still around in the Alola games, they were shunned and vilified. Seriously, go back and read their dex entries. Any mention of Megas in Alola have been harsh knocks, and is often compared to horrific torture. Mega Evolution brings this Pokemon great pain. Like, gee, thanks Alolan Dex. That definitely makes me want to use Z moves over Mega Evolution now. Oh, okay, yeah, these two are for sure an agonizing pain. Just fucking admit that you regret adding Megas from the jump because they absolutely dominate in popularity over every other fucking gimmick that you want to trick us into spending $60 on. Game Freak, Mega Evolution isn't a toy that you can keep confiscating from us and place onto the tall shelf when you decide that toy time is finished. Either let us use it in Gen 10 or don't. No more of this will we won't we horse shit. This is especially true when you have Ash Ketchum of all characters rocking both a Mega Lucario and a Dynamax Gengar at the same time within the same battles. There is one last thing I would like to mention, and it's regarding Pokemon's release date of Pokemon Legends ZA. I already mentioned that it's coming out in 2025. Whether or not that means January 1st, 2025 is still on the table, but that joke was written in the script before I started hearing rumors. So I'm sure by now we've all heard about the Switch 2 rumor at least once on the internet, right? If you haven't, long story short, people are saying that the Nintendo Switch is nearing the end of its life cycle, and that production for an even better Switch is already underway. Personally, I find that just a little hard to swallow when you consider that the Switch is still at peak popularity. Unless we're looking at a 3DS to new 3DS kind of situation, I really doubt that Nintendo would want to cap their flowing revenue in the head this early. Of course, it's hard to nip a rumor in the bud when said rumor is still spreading, and when the Pokemon presentation finished up, it only added fuel to the rumor mill. Because if this mythical Switch 2 is set to be revealed and released in 2025, that would explain why Pokemon would sacrifice any main game release during the holiday season and instead opt to release Legends ZA on this new system. End of the day, I'm not convinced about this Switch 2, and there have been other YouTubers way more invested in that rumor, so I'll leave all that with the rest. More to the point, if a Switch 2 doesn't arrive in 2025, that would mean that Pokemon would have had no real reason to skip holiday of 2024. Until this Switch 2 rumor hit the mainstream, everyone was cheering for TPC's decision for Legend ZA's 2025 release. Honestly, I'm not sure they exist, but I have yet to see anyone complain that the game isn't coming out this year. All the comments I saw were like, "Oh my god, Pokemon's finally listening to us! They're actually gonna take their time and make the game look good and not rush it!" Well. Let's say that the Switch 2 is coming out in 2025. If so, I'm sure you all have the same question for me. Do I believe that Pokemon secretly delayed Legends ZA not because the fans were begging for it, but because Game Freak could instead take advantage of their fans and swindle them to cough up even more cash on both Legends ZA and this Switch 2? You're damn right I believe Game Freak would do that. The Pokemon Company doesn't care about their fans. If they actually gave a shit about us, they never would have outsourced the Diamond and Pearl remakes to poor Ilka, whose reputation got demolished thanks to being assigned a game under a genre they have no experience with, under complete control of a man with a history for getting under Pokemon fans' skins. Hashtag, thank you Game Freak.
consume product.
If the Switch 2 actually exists and is indeed coming out in 2025, then I have zero doubts that this was the reason why the next Pokemon game isn't coming out at all this year. The Pokemon Company doesn't deserve that much goodwill. One look at Scarlet and Violet, even after a month and a half of their release date, should have been enough to tell you that. Ugh, you're just being too harsh on Pokemon and Game Freak. Highest grossing media franchise. Zero respect towards the people who pay for their products. Damn right I'm gonna be harsh. Partway through editing this video, news drops that Relic Castle has been DMCA'd and taken down. If you don't know what that is, Relic Castle was a Pokemon fan site that hosted a collection of free fan games made by dedicated Pokemon enthusiasts and developers. I will repeat that. A website that hosted free Pokemon fan games has been struck down by either Pokemon, Game Freak, or some other related party. I'm gonna be real with you all. I still plan to purchase Legends ZA. That was never really off the table. But I may or may not be preparing the groundwork for making a PAL Sona, much like my Furfro avatar, exclusively to use for any and all Pokemon videos that I might make in the future. I hope you enjoy the competition with Pal World Pokemon Company. You did this to yourself. And that really is the end of this ride. Man, to those of you still here, thanks for sticking with me to the end. If you were here to watch me grind the Pokemon Company to a pulp, or if you were here just to tell me what an asshat I'm being, then don't worry, I'm good now. You can jump off here. I've said my piece, and the video is technically over. But if you're a regular on my small channel and would like to hear what I have planned next, then stick around for just a few more minutes. I'll be quick. The Pokemon presentation video of mine was kind of a knee-jerk reaction. I only decided to make it after the presentation was finished, which is why it came out way later after the fact. Before this video was jammed into my schedule, I was working on 2 separate videos, both of which are coming along nicely actually. Definitely nowhere near done though, even now. I should also probably mention again that neither of them are Pokemon focused videos. Of course, I'll add some Pokemon memes and gags to both if I can get away with it, because I enjoy doing that and I am indeed a Pokemon fan, but I try to make it clear to people that this channel is meant to focus on a variety of games, not just Pokemon alone. I am also quite positive that a few people are expecting me to make another Ace Attorney video since the previous one I made exploded. I hate to break this to you guys, but that was the only Ace Attorney video I had planned, and I don't see myself making another one. It's not because of that video's feedback or anything, I just have other videos I want to do, and as I'm sure everyone has figured out by now, making these videos takes a long time. However, my schedule freed up just a little bit, so hopefully it doesn't take 6 months just to finish one of the 2 on my desk right now. I think I've said all that needs to be said now. Alright, I think I can put the actual end card up now. If you're still here, thank you for watching.